Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, I do have a little bit of a snuffy nose today, so my voice is a little bit off from normal, but that's just from some allergies, so sorry about that. It will be kind of a little annoying, but nothing I can really do about that. So, today we're going to be talking about the 60 TP, and this tank is going to be coming out in update 8.4, which should be out this month, hopefully, and it is going to be a brand new Polish heavy tank line starting from, I believe, tier 6. Yes, tier 6 to tier 10. So we're going to be going over this line here, basically a preview of this line. I'm not going to be going over the other things in this update. I'll probably do a whole update kind of preview, not really as much talking about these tanks, closer to when the update comes out, or a review of it when it does come out, something like that. But we're going to be talking about the 60 TP line in this video here. So it starts, like I said, at tier 6 here. And at tier 6 we have the 40 TP Hibachi, I think is how you pronounce that here. And this is just a little tier 6 tank here. But looking at the armor profile, it honestly seems to have a pretty decent armor profile. You have what seems to be a decently strong turret, decently strong hatch on it as well as a decently strong upper plate, which I'm not sure, but this seems to be some pretty decent armor on here. We have 1150 HP, and looking at the rest of the stats here, let me just load into this. We have 2004 DPM on this tank, 160 penetration damage of 225, with a reload time of 6.74 seconds. So for a tier 6 tank, that seems to be pretty good to me with the DPM there. That alpha is very nice on this tank with that reload. Seems to be pretty good as well. Some okay pin, nothing great, nothing horrible. Looking at the accuracy of the tank, we are looking at a 2.08 base aim time with dispersion of 0.344. So not horrible accuracy either, as well 8 degrees of gun depression and 40 kilometers an hour top speed. So some okay speed, looking like some decent armor in a pretty good gun is what it seems to be on this tank. So that seems to be pretty nice. I think that will be just a decent solid tank at tier 6. And now moving on to the tier 7 tank, we have the 45 TP Hibachi. And this is going to be basically that tank, just, better, a tier up. We're going to be looking at 1400 DPM, sorry, not DPM, HP, DPM of 2175, 175 millimeters of penetration, 290 alpha with an 8-second reload time. So to me, this seems to be something kind of like the Leo, similar to the Leo, the Swedish tier 7 medium tank. That's what it seems to be like to me. Not the best pin, bigger alpha of 290, 8-second reload. That's pretty similar here. In the accuracy, pretty okay aim time, but the dispersion is very bad at 0.362. So 8 degrees of gun depression as well, and 35 kilometer an hour top speed. So it's pretty slow. Has kind of a derp gun. The armor looks to me okay. It's not as good, I would say, tier for tier as the tier 6 there, but to me this looks like kind of a Leo copy paste. I mean, it looks very similar gun, very similar mobility. Might actually be a little worse on this tank, I would say. It looks very slow, but this is a heavy tank, obviously. This is basically like a heavy tank. If the Leo was a heavy tank, I think that would be this tank pretty much. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. It looks okay. I would say the tier 6 looks better though, tier for tier. So now moving on to some higher tier tanks. We are looking at the tier 8, the 53 TP Markoskivakio. I have no clue how to pronounce these. I'm sorry. If you know how to pronounce these, please tell me down below in the comments. I would love to know, but I really don't know how to pronounce these. So this is a tier 8 heavy tank, obviously, and we are looking at, let's see here, 1800 HP, kind of standard here. Only 1969, nice, damage per minute here. We have 420 alpha, nice, with a reload time of 12.80 seconds. Our penetration is going to be 225, which is not bad at all. Looking here at the accuracy, we have a base aim time of 1.72 seconds and a 0.362 dispersion on this thing, as well 8 degrees of gun depression. And looking at the armor profile here, we are looking at a pretty strong upper or turret here on this thing. It looks like in a decently strong upper plate. To me, this looks like kind of if you have a Polish 252U, same alpha, similar gun, similar accuracy. The armor does not look as good though at all, I would say. And what was the speed? I can't remember the speed on the tank. I could go look back. What's the speed on the tank? The speed is 40 kilometers an hour. So yeah, to me this kind of looks like not quite as good of a 252U. I think the tank will still do decent though with that nice alpha on the tank. Not the best DPM though. Oh my voice is cracking because of because of how stuffed up I am. I'm sorry about that. But it just seems to me to be kind of a worse 252U. Alright, now moving on to the Tier 9. Man, this is a struggle to talk with this. We have the 50 TP Tikoshkovakia. Not sure if that's how you pronounce this tank, but looking at the armor profile, we have a kind of similar to the 50 TP, but very different design of the tank. The armor is very strong on that turret there. We have a decent lower plate, actually stronger looking than the upper plate, but I would bet you that upper plate actually is much stronger because of the angle there, as well kind of a commander's viewport there. But decent strong armor, I would say definitely on that turret there. Let's look at some of the other statistics of this tank here. We're looking at 2100 HP on this tank. Very nice view range on a lot of these tanks as well. 2,261 DPM. Pretty low DPM here, but we are looking at a 460 alpha tank with a 12.21 second reload. So basically take the other tank, the Tier 8, slap another 40 alpha on it, and that's kind of what this gun right here is looking at. We have some base aim time of 2.44 seconds, dispersion of 0.344, so basically the dispersion is a little better here. Aim time doesn't look quite as good though. Same 8 degrees of gun depression and 36 kilometers an hour forward. So this is an okay speed tank, I would say. The gun seems okay. I mean, 12-second reload, 460 alpha. Okay pin here. I mean, the penetration's good, but it's not like great or anything like that. Actually, yeah, it's met penetration. To me, this tank doesn't look quite as good as like the Tier 8 or especially like the Tier 6 and 7. I would say still seems to be an okay tank. I don't know how this will play. It looks like it could be a very strong hold-down tank though with that 8 degrees of gun depression and beautiful turret. And you'd be able to slap people for 460 alpha. To me, it kind of looks like the 50 TP, but it's not quite, you know, as angled as the 50 TP. And the gun has 20 more alpha and a little less DPM. So that's and a little less penetration. That's kind of what this tank looks like to me. Now moving on to the big daddy of them all, the 60 TP, the Tier 10 Polish heavy tank. This armor on this tank right here is pretty dang good. So we can look at all the stats here of this tank. And we are going to be looking at 2,600 HP on this tank. Nice view range as well. 2,600 DPM on this tank. Penetration of 258 millimeters. 600 average damage on the tank with a 13.89 second reload. As well, looking at the gun handling, we have a 2.63 second base aim time. Dispersion of 0.362. Gun depression of 7 degrees and 42 kilometer an hour top speed. So this tank right here, the 60 TP, final one of the line, the Tier 10, has very strong armor on this tank. You can see that turret is extremely strong, as well a pretty strong lower plate there. You have a very strong upper plate here. Lots of angles on this tank. It makes it very hard to hit. I have come across this in testing before, so I know it is pretty difficult to penetrate this tank. You can penetrate like the sides of the tank a little, the turret here of the turret sometimes at the right angle, but it's very hard. And this tank has very good armor. Now concerning the gun, I am a little disappointed that it's not a very large alpha gun. 600 damage is a nice alpha gun. It's basically like an E100, but with a little bit less damage and a little bit more DPM. You know, a little quicker reload time. I guess it's really not that much quicker, actually. 15.82 seconds is pretty dang long. I'm not going to lie, I feel like they could buff the reload a little. So, not the best reload, but great armor. Very fast as well for how heavily armored this is. 42 kilometers an hour top speed. And decent, you know, HP and stuff like that. So, to me, this seems like a face hug tank, side scraping tank, in a hold down tank when you can with that 7 degrees of gun depression. But to me, this just feels like it's going to be a tank that's fun to play and very good. Now, something I did not go into any at all in this video is going to be those new consumables. There are new consumables that are going to be coming with these tanks that seem to be very overpowered. There are other people who have videos about them. You can go watch them if you want to know right now about them, but I possibly will be making a video about them in the future because they are pretty OP and probably should be talked about. But yeah, that is pretty much the preview of the 60 TP line coming out hopefully soon in the next update 8.4 this month. That's pretty much all to go over, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.